Great weekend all the way around. The college football was sensational. A lot of changes going on there. The coaching carousel is in full swing. I mean, it's like one of those carny rides where, they lost control of the thing and it's just going round and round and round and round and round. Okay, everybody get up when you can. No, when you can. I used to read the headlines in the racing forum. It was always great because the headlines were so archaic. I mean, they were just paying token homage to the idea that kind of like some of the public service announcements that you hear various radio stations play. I mean, they're obligated to do it by FCC regulations that were written when the Magna Carta came out. Do you really feel in your heart of hearts, having been in radio as long as you were, that the general philosophy of the radio station, go ahead and honor a commitment to do things that were beneficial to the local community? No. All they wanted to know, hey, is Zimmerman going to spill the beans on that account for the casino?
That's all they cared about.
The time.
Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
And on a beautiful Wednesday here where we originate in South Florida, the beautiful state, the Sunshine State. So long from the Sunshine State. I can still hear Gordon Soley with the all-time greatest tagline in the history of broadcasting. You can have, do you believe in miracles? I mean, that was a one-shot deal there with Al Michaels. And as we've often speculated, I don't know if it'll ever be confirmed, he had that written on his cufflink. He didn't just ad-lib that line. He was like, what if the U.S. beats the Russians? What can I say? He started a trend there. It was very much like the Trent Dilfer thing. Good morning, by the way. Let me introduce the crew to you if you're not familiar. And if you just tuned in for the first time on Ion Channel, you said, who the hell are these guys? I'm Jeff Deforrest, and the gentleman with me is one Mike Lubitz, a loyal MF, as they say, a very loyal MF.
Maybe too loyal.
I'm going to roll the dice on this thing and say, you know what? We were in kind of a nice little comfort zone until they just whoosh, that sound again, as if they were the amazing Kreskin. Didn't he, in addition to being like the memory guy or a mind-reading sort, didn't he also do the thing where he pulled the tablecloth out from underneath, a full place setting, like for 12 at the Last Supper? Yep. And not a single dish was broken or a knife and fork out of place. Now you would have to include the cell phone on that, and I'm not sure how that would impact the ability to just go ahead and pull the cloth out real quickly and have everything remain in place. Not sure, but no, just an amazing thing to be here with you on Ion Channel, and you can see what's going on. It does cause a little bit of difficulty in that I would say every other day, because we're being visualized now here on Ion Channel, and in addition to the audio stream, that Doug has us over, like 112 channels all over the world. These people, they work hard there at Ion Channel to try and get the show where it needs to be. And you would have to say, Lubie, I mean, this is where it's at, is it not? Except for the fact that, you have to have some kind of a physical appearance here. So I've been shaving like every other day. And I discovered this. Here's a weird thing. You know that gel shaving cream? I'm not a fan of it. Yeah. But I happen to have like 2 cans of gel shaving cream. I believe I may have purchased this back a long time ago for a trip because the foamy stuff tends to explode sometimes when it's in your luggage. Yep. Does it not? So, even though you might have had to check the bag because you have things that are over 3 ounces, then you get your stuff and it's all full of schmutz from shaving cream, and you're thinking, oh my God, or like an aerosol can, burst in midair, and the bomb's bursting in midair. It's like the anthem broke out in your suitcase. But are you a fan of the gel shaving cream? I never was. Okay. Because you put a little dab there on your fingertips to start smearing it on your face, and that first glop always ends up falling on your shirt if you're wearing a shirt at the time. Now you go to wipe it off, and it spreads all over the place, a thin layer. None of it is on your face. It's all on your shirt. You have to change clothes, and you still need to shave. Time becomes of a constraint there. It starts to pressure you a little bit. I'm going to miss my plane. Going to be late for work. In this case, what is the one thing that I've always emphasized to you, Mike Lubitz?
I know.
When post time hits in the broadcasting business, you better be there. There's no missing post time for the first race. If you're not there, guess what? There's no show. It looks really, really bad. So anyway, the thing I discovered, though, and I don't know, this should have been something that maybe scientists could have studied, but the gel shaving cream never runs out. I bought this can of gel shaving cream, I believe, in the late 60s when it first, made its appearance on the scene. Here's a new innovation, gel shaving cream. Because you only need a little. Like you put like a little kind
Yes,
of.
and like explodes. That's what I thought you were gonna bitch about. It's hard to
be a
judge someone
doppel.
out. Yeah, you
No.
put like a doppel, and then it like covers your whole face. It's like what
Whole
the hell?
face. Now, my big fear, and it tends to get a little bit slick. It's like the old Mark Lawrence Exxon Valdez theory, right? Where you're leaking oil. Your face is a little bit slick. And then I mentioned the other day that I bought what I thought were irregular razor blades, as it turned out. We were talking about getting like a
Yeah.
regular clothes,
Like,
where one pants leg, is lower than the other. And you're thinking, so that's what they meant about irregular.
it's like bad.
Hey, Chester, ditch the limp.
Exactly.
That's an old one, man, from Gunsmoke. Anybody remember Chester from Gunsmoke besides the old geezers out there in the audience? You don't remember this character, Chester from Gunsmoke?
I know
He's
the
so famous.
show. I don't know
Dennis
it.
Weaver, right? Remember? I mean, he was famous for many other roles later on. He became like the lead cowboy after being just, he was a complete sidekick in Gunsmoke. And then all of a sudden, when he was like the main guy, it was hard to accept that was the same guy that played Chester from Gunsmoke, who, I don't know, he wasn't really inept or a guy that couldn't handle things, but he certainly wasn't Marshall Dillon. Let's put it that way. But anyway, the thing that you're trying to avoid there with the shave, and I had the irregular shaving cream, the gel shaving cream, and kind of a razor that wouldn't cut. Well, it wouldn't cut shit, basically. I mean, I normally, do need like a cut man in my corner when I'm shaving, and those cuts never stop bleeding. All of a sudden, hey, when did I become a hemophiliac? Hours later, you're going to dinner and you're still dabbing that thing, and then the wife always has some lame suggestion, having never shaved her face in her life, right? Or no reason to, I guess one would hope.
They clean up, but it's different now.
Yeah, but they don't bleed like a sieve, and it's incessant, and you can't contain it. I mean, no matter what you do.
Old school, they would put like the toilet paper there.
Yeah,
but it'd be bleeding all day.
White out, you're putting on your neck. Hours later, still bleeding, right?
Yeah.
Waiter comes and says, "We'd like this to call 911, sir."
Okay, so
Like, no, I just like a salad. What are you talking about?
I was just shaving.
Anyway, the big fear, though, I mean, especially for me and all of the references that I make to my religion, the Jewish religion, is to, show up on screen somewhere with what we call Hitler mustache.
Oh, no.
Where, you don't really get the good shave, but you get the little Hitler mustache. That doesn't go over well.
No.
Either visually or, in this case, when you're broadcasting live all over the world here in a video stream that... and I believe this in my heart of hearts. I was telling Jack Namer this. This is his business. I was convincing him that this is the way to go. Well, he said, if we made a little money on this. No, I mean, always with the elbow there. If you made a little money. No, it's definitely the way to go. I mean, this is where the industry is at. I couldn't feel any more liberated about the thing. But the last thing I want to do is show up to work with Hitler mustache, which I was a little afraid was going to happen today. How do I look, Lubie, as Papillon would say? How do I look? But how is it that you never run out of the gel shaving cream? That can is bottomless.
Yes.
What else is like that? Where, I mean, it's kind of like when you're milking the the sunscreen has run out in those spray cans, but there's just like the slightest bit on the bottom, and you just keep going to it, and it keeps coming out. This can of gel shaving cream that I bought literally whenever it was first initiated 30, 40 years ago, still is at least 3/4 full. And I've used it every day since. You can't get a better bargain than that.
That's great.
Isn't that true? I mean, tell me I'm not onto something.
It just never ends.
It's a good way to begin today on a Wednesday. We have Tony Segreto coming up later on, speaking of old school. And he's going to be joining us, brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. Our good friend Ed Garcia should be on the show. Always makes me hungry, Lubie. Always makes me hungry. And then Catholic Health Services, really a wonderful company. I can't say enough good things about these guys. Tony will embellish that later on in the program. But for Tony, has to be, I mean, this is one of those days that if you're a South Florida broadcaster, I would imagine a lot of small towns. I mean, if you're in a college football town, so to speak. If you're like in Gainesville, Florida.
Yes, big day. Yes.
If you're in Tallahassee today.
Huge day.
If you're, in any city that harbors a major college. If you're in Ann Arbor, they're all looking on with tremendous curiosity today because it's a National Letter of Intent signing day.
It's early signing day, but like we've talked about, it's become pretty much the premier signing day.
Well, it used to be, and it would be in February.
Yes, it
And
still
the build up
is.
to it was insane. Now you had intense competition here. I mean, I started broadcasting here in the 80s, but really started hosting sports talk shows in the early 90s on a regular basis. I was doing some of that before in the 80s, but it wasn't with any kind of regular consistency. And I was at a station in South Florida that was a fabled radio station at the
Yes.
time. They managed to ruin that also. WIOD
I was gonna say.
is now pulling like a 0.0 share with the most boring news package I've ever heard in my life. Hey, anybody out there got any creativity?
Oh, what?
How do you become a program director of a station and the one thing that you've accomplished is to bury the station in the ratings? And then the other AM station you now have no programming on, zero programming of any kind of an original content standpoint, and you're the program director. What programs are you directing except the burial? I don't mean to complain about radio executives at this point, but it never made sense to me that a program director would do their best to can all the programming on a station and then put such limitations, such restrictions, such ridiculous, constantly intrusive suggestions onto a program that the guy that was hosting the show, not in this case me, but in the case of the news programs that are on WIOD,
Yes.
that and this is probably going on around the country where it's so micromanaged that and I don't know, what research are they looking at? The same stuff that those people that really believe the election was stolen, like this Rand Paul. I mean, what research are they looking at that ignores the obvious? I was just looking at some clips there about the people that are trying to deny that January 6th thing even happened. It's all an illusion.
Saw it. There was video live.
I remember turning on the TV that day, and I'm looking and going, wait a minute. That's the Capitol building. What is a mob doing out there?
They're all
it doesn't take a genius to figure out something wasn't quite right
Yeah, it was weird.
on that day, Mr. Jim Jordan. How did these guys keep getting elected?
Well, these
It's
people.
incredible. Is this where the country is going? No wonder. It's a good thing we're in the toy department here talking about sports. All right, we want to dodge that topic altogether, right? I get like this weird feeling every time. You get like a hot flash through your body saying, don't do it. Don't delve into politics. You'll lose half your audience. Which we can ill afford to do as we're trying to build up things here.
We're trying to have an audience.
On Ion Channel. I mean, if we can show a little numerology to anybody, we're rich, Lubie. Rich.
I believe so.
It's like the gold rush, right now to try and garner some of that gambling, streaming money that's out there.
The combination of gambling is legal in a lot of places, and they need ways to talk about it. And they're realizing, oh, we were so negative about gambling for so long. No one talks gambling. So that's perfect for our wheelhouse. And also all these different outlets that need content. And we can just talk for hours. It's right in our wheelhouse.
So far, we are 20 minutes in talking about shaving
We'll
gel.
talk about anything.
Well, I want to get to this National Letter of Intent signing day because it always had significance. And Tony can relate to this.
Oh, no.
I'm broadcasting here in South Florida. I was on like the #1 station. There was really, this was predating all day, 24-hour sports talk stations where people decided to flip AM stations to sports talk, figured they could hire whoever was at the station at the time to do 4-hour shows. And got things started. And I have to say this. I mean, back in the day when this was really, really like a huge entity, sports talk radio, just I'm talking about as a format, you had some really, really brilliant and talented guys in the business that you would be honored to try and emulate and or follow in their footsteps and or continue to enhance the foundation that they had laid out there. We were talking yesterday on our After Hours show on Believe Podcast Network with one of our good friends here. He wasn't able to make it during regular hours of our Ion show, so we had a conversation with him after the fact, after we were done with the live show here, Christian Fourier. And, the founding father there of WEEI in Boston, one of the big sports talk radio stations anywhere in the world. I mean, I would say, people would say fan in New York #1. I'm not sure that their programming is or was ever really better than WEEI.
Well, that's the thing. EI used to actually had like talent and people that were interesting. Fan was, it's New York. You can talk anything. So just
throw any wise guy there. Yeah.
And it'll be big. But it was like the Francesa and that other show that
Chris Russo. Yeah.
started it. If you listen to look, and I don't want to hate. I know people love that show, so good for them. I never got it.
Some of the content was pretty lame.
I
I
never
would have to
got
say.
it. It was just two guys that really didn't feel like they knew as much as you thought they should know, bitching. It was like,
Well, and the the subject matter, in New York, they're so passionate about their sports and so consumed by it, as opposed to South Florida, where we were working, where nobody even knows what day it is. Although we have great sports fans here, there's no question, and whether they immigrated from other parts of the country. Really, it's insignificant to me. You're trying to talk to as many people as you can that kind of relate to your viewpoints on sports and or find whatever it is that you have to say at least somewhat stimulating, as opposed to. I remember, and this was my business. This was the business we had chosen, and you know how into it you are. Whatever it is that you do with whatever particular passion you have for your pursuits in life. I don't know what led me to this, but I knew I was going to do this sort of thing, something in this area of sports. I don't know about broadcasting. From as far back as I can remember, when I used to sing the national anthem and then introduce the Yankee lineup while in the bathtub as a 5-year-old. My father, to his grave, still teased me about that.
that's
Said,
great.
you were doing this since you were 5. I remember you used to sing the anthem, and as soon as you said, "Oh, the brave," there would be a little pause, and then as if you were Bob Shepard. And now, it's time to introduce to you, your New York Yankees.
That's great.
And I would do the whole lineup there, and everybody knew it because there was no free agency. I mean, the lineup was the same every day for like 20 years. You think Casey Stengel's job was easy? What was it? Richardson, Kubek, Mantle, Maris, or is Maris, Mantle, Berra, Elston Howard would be thrown in there if Yogi was in left field. But usually then, you had the Moose Scarron hitting. Imagine Moose Scarron was hitting 6th for the Yankees. 6th, which is, I don't know, isn't that kind of a nondescript position in the batting order?
Nice spot, but not a great spot. You want to be 1 through 5.
You're not in the power slots there, 3, 4, and 5. You're not at the top of the order there where you're trying to be a catalyst, make things happen. But you're not hitting 8th.
Yeah, it's decent.
Their 8th hitter was Clete Boyer, though. Clete Boyer was kind of demeaned. Clete Boyer, probably, I mean, if you look at highlights, I don't know if there are many. Did they have film back then?
Yeah,
what are you talking about, Defo? That happened in the 50s.
They had film.
Clete Boyer, the brother of Ken Boyer, who Ken Boyer was obviously a brilliant Hall of Fame player and, was a dynamic hitter in addition to being an excellent third baseman and won championships with the Cardinals. He was on those teams with Bob Gibson and was very, very well known, Ken Boyer. But Clete Boyer was a brilliant fielder. I mean, among the most brilliant third basemen. He came along at a time where Brooks Robinson was kind of dominating.
Oh, good.
Brooks was known as like the ultimate fielding third baseman. And taking nothing away from Brooks Robinson. But I always was that was a hot debate among kids in New York.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Long time. I guess Brooks kind of was, I'm not sure how much, if at all, he overlapped Clete's career, but he was known as like the greatest fielding third baseman. That series he had against Johnny Bench, he was like playing racquetball with Johnny Bench there. He'd be 30 feet from home plate. Bench would hit a line drive, a sizzler right down the line that was tailing away, and there it was, Brooks Robinson making a catch. And then turning it into a triple play. I mean, he was that type of fielder. But Clete Boyer was as good a defensive third baseman as I think anybody has ever seen. But demeaned because even batting 8th, he hit like 250 every year with 20 home runs. Mm-hmm. And that's, back in the time, before steroids, when 20 home runs wasn't a horrible number.
For an infielder?
Yeah. Third baseman should be a power position.
I mean, third is more power than second and short, but still, it's not first base.
Yeah. Great player, but he was batting 8th. Hector Lopez, the utility man, had played a lot of left field, batted 7th. But how weird is that? That here it is. It's like 60 years later, Lubie, and you can still remember the lineup because it was the same every day. Now you can't even identify, like if you ask me what the Marlins lineup would look like, we follow this team very closely. Do you have any idea what it's going to look like this year?
No clue.
No way. So sports completely different these days.
Well, that makes sense why you guys argued, because their careers overlapped entirely.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So because that's interesting. That's one of those where, like, looking back, all I ever heard about was Brooks Robinson. Like, whenever people talk about,
you don't even know what I'm talking about when I talk Clete Boyer. Yeah,
I always say Brooks Robinson. I mean, I've been around you long enough that I know Clete Boyer was a great fielder, but I didn't know that they were close. Like you always, whenever they talk about my whole life, just the epitome of a great third baseman, Brooks Robinson was
Well, and he was.
comparison point. That's
Yeah.
everything that Blair was that good though that you guys would argue it, and it wasn't like a stupid argument.
Oh, defensively, no. I mean, you weren't like nobody was going to look at you like you were on the lunatic fringe there, like Jim Jordan and Rand Paul, the aforementioned. There he goes, dipping into politics again, slipping into darkness. Don't do it, Defo. Don't do it.
Of course.
But yeah, that was a big debate at the time, and that was a good thing. There wasn't really sports talk around, so people didn't necessarily debate this sort of thing. But what they did spend a lot of time doing, and this gets back to the original point, which sometimes we have an inclination to do here.
Look at you.
Is spend a lot of time debating, and this is as meaningless a debate, I think, as you can possibly indulge yourself in. Who got the best of National Letter of Intent Signing Day?
Oh, God, yeah, that's...
People would be on edge about this.
It's a big deal. Yeah,
on edge.
I wonder around the country if it's as big a deal. Because that's the thing is, I guess the last 10 years or so, it's our three big schools have been in. But before then, I feel
How
like...
do we know, though? Howard Schnellenberger's class, and we can get into this with Tony. And I know Tony loves diving into a little Schnelly material here. Tony Segreto is going to join us later on as we go old school. But think about it. I mean, in that same recruiting class, he had Bernie Kosar, a complete unknown, like a rolling stone. Yeah. So where would Max Emfinger have ranked that class if he was talking about the class that netted the University of Miami, the quarterback whose intellect more so than his physicality, although not without talent in a physical standpoint, but just awkward in the way he delivered it.
And he didn't run fast. They made fun of
him. As we've said many, many times, he would run third in a race with a pregnant woman. Bernie. He had the feet going in different directions there. It looked like he was wearing clown shoes. I don't know if he had particularly large feet, but for some reason, the shoes, were straight out of the circus, weren't they? Just the way they appeared when he was running, and you were thinking, is he really running, or is he just standing still in front of one of Jack Namer's green screens? And they're like putting the country passing by in the background there, and he hasn't actually taken a running step. Conveyor belt, kind of running is what Bernie Kosar on the opposite direction, right? If a conveyor belt was going one way, you're on an escalator and it starts going the wrong direction, and you're just treading water there, hoping, help. Through the ball, submarine style. He looked like Kent Tekulve or Dan Quisenberry, didn't he?
It was like a
throwing passes. Well, that would have been blocked at the line of scrimmage, but it went underneath the leaping lineman
through his legs.
And look at that, man! A completed pass.
Was Kosar in the same class as Testaverde? Because I know Kelly came first, but were they in like the same? Were they similar?
I want to say that. I want to say that is not true, but it's close if it isn't.
See,
it was either 1 year after the Testaverde was there, or they both came in the same season.
I have to look that up.
Vinny, of course, staked his claim as a college quarterback after Bernie decided to leave school early, because he had already graduated, from law school by the time he was a sophomore. And he left after his junior year. I think that's when you were allowed to find a way to circumvent the system and get in a supplemental draft, which Bernie orchestrated. He was very sharp, way ahead of his time in that regard. And he was the first guy, and people remember, they thought he was an asshole for bringing up the idea of name, image, and likeness.
Yeah, exactly. He's always been a pro player, always.
Like, Bernie woke up one day and tried to wake up the rest of the world of college football players and said, hey, we should be getting paid.
Yep.
Hello?
Yep.
Unbelievable. And people, they took a very disparaging view towards that, as I recall at the time. I was like, come on, Bernie. We can't hate you because you won us a national championship. But what on earth are you talking about? You want college players to get paid? That'll ruin the game at its very core. We'll never be able to watch college football and see it be the same again.
Wow, that's crazy. They were there. They both got there in '82.
Okay.
And Testaverde redshirted behind.
Vinny probably redshirted or something. Yeah. Because the battle, though, was to start. He redshirted only because Bernie won a very tight and was not an easy decision to make. In fact, people also thought Schnellenberger had been smoking something else out of that pipe when he named Bernie as the starter over the prototypical. Could you be more of a strapping figure as a college quarterback and stripe the ball any better than Vinny Testaverde did? At 6'5", elusive, could run, and fired the ball like nobody else that we had seen. And there was a dude there that was a senior named Kyle Vanderweld, and they went in a three-way battle for the starting quarterback job. And surprisingly, Schnelly came out with the announcement, and it kind of stunned a lot of people at the time that Bernie Kosar was going to be the starter. And everybody's like, "What?" He would have looked like out of the choices of A, B, and C. If you were at a New York OTB, I'll take anything but the C. And then that ended up becoming a legendary player. But the point being, I mean, that recruiting class, Vinny would have been the thing that kind of cemented the recruiting class for Max Emfinger and these guys that were, trying to pretend that they actually knew what the hell was going on. That being said, here's your list, Lubie, of the top recruiting classes. This comes as no surprise, right? I mean, is this just a given? Do they actually scrutinize these things to make any kind of educated judgment?
No, it's insane now. They go, I mean, they
Really?
yeah, and they start like years ahead. Like I've been paying attention to the 2004 class. Like in the past, even when recruiting became a big deal in the late 90s and early 2000s, started to really, people tracked it really well. You still only focused on that year. Like you didn't even know the next year. Now they not only focus on this year, the next year, they focus 2 to 3 years ahead. It's fucking crazy. Like it's really nuts now.
Embryos are being examined.
Yes, no, 8th graders. I've had literally been tracking 8th graders, which I don't know what the fuck to do with an 8th grader.
Come on, I mean, what do you know in the 8th grade? A kid could, grow very rapidly, be a big fat kid. He's in the 8th grade and he's like 260. Okay, so you stick him on the offensive line. Is he not going to look, like the second coming of Jonathan Ogden out there at left tackle against a bunch of little Scribini, 112-pound defensive linemen? You got to be kidding me. Come on, little Johnny. See if you can get around him. Anyway, number one class, guess what? Alabama, Nick Saban.
It's right now. It's a tough dogfight because there's still a lot of guys left that are top notch. So Bama, Georgia, and A&M, fucking Jimbo. Because Oklahoma, when the mass exodus left from Oklahoma, Jimbo was in 6th spot as really the best Texas school. So he's been picking off a lot of the Oklahoma people. So he's actually now in the conversation for number 1. Those 3 schools are like in a dogfight for number 1.
Well, this doesn't bode well. I mean, for the future of college football, and all the people that are hoping that Cincinnati can actually do something besides get crushed like a grape by Alabama in the opening round, 13.5-point underdogs. I don't know if that line has moved, but it started out at 13 and a hook and was kind of holding steadily there. I guess the game is so far out that it's hard to, imagine that people that haven't already made up their mind are going to be influenced over the next couple of days, as opposed to as we get closer to game time, and then you realize, wow, half of Alabama's team has opted out of the ball game. Imagine rolling into Nick's office and having to tell him that, "Hey, Nick, thanks, man. No, my agent says I can't play this game. What are you kidding me? I could hurt myself. I'm projected as a 3rd-round pick. I'm willing to take that right now." Nick, over listening to you and your Gestapo-like tactics of running a team. Quit crying, by the way, on TV, Nick.
Exactly.
As if life had done you wrong. Nick Saban should be a blues singer, right? I want to see if Albert Castiglia will line him up on stage. I believe Friday night, Mike Zito might feature our good friend Albert Castiglia. I don't know if Albert's in town. He's up there on stage.
He's been everywhere, yeah.
It's a dynamite combination. Those guys are going to be touring together. Andy, by the way, I'm going to try and connect you there. I actually I have one seat. Andy's taking the chick to the Funky Biscuit to see Mike Zito. Now, I'm going to tell you this, Andy. If she's a first-time starter, she's going to have a wonderful time and think that you're a man of great taste and wealth.
Yeah.
But at the same time, she's going to fall in love with Mike Zito. He's married.
Okay, good thinking.
It's called the Zito virus. I mean, this guy has an impact on chicks that, is overwhelming. It's like DiCaprio with a guitar. Incredible. Mike Zito. And for good reason. I mean, a super talent. But I'll see what I can do. I'm going to put in a call for you. And Andy always communicating with us on our chat line here, which you're welcome to do. I mean, we welcome input on this program. So far, we've talked about shaving gel, communism, and the number 1 recruiting class being of no surprise. Your Florida State Seminoles with your Mike Norvell guy drafting in there at like number 10 somewhere.
Man, they've done pretty well for a school that has 5 wins.
Very good. Steph Curry broke the record last night. Ray Allen's record. It fell at Madison Square Garden, the mecca of basketball. Is Madison Square Garden still the mecca of basketball?
I mean, I guess what else would be? So sure.
I mean, if you're thinking Mecca happened a long time ago, right? It was established many, many years ago, then maybe it is. I don't consider it the Mecca of boxing or basketball anymore. I don't know that there is. Is there a Mecca of basketball anywhere in the country? A Mecca of basketball. What would it be if it wasn't Madison Square Garden? I guess
that's the thing. Like
a good question.
Indiana's big with basketball, but who gives a shit about Indiana? I mean, LA's big with basketball, but again, do you think of LA?
I don't really have that kind of commitment to make a place like a Mecca.
Well, exactly. Like,
plus, you can't get there anyway. You're like stuck on the 101, trying to get to the Staples Center there, and it's changed names too many times. The sellout to commercialization also hurts your chance of being categorized as a Mecca, doesn't it?
There you go. So
because it's not like the Travelers Insurance Madison Square Garden.
That's why MSG holds it, because you can just say the Garden.
The Garden.
Everyone knows it's been the Garden the entire time. They don't mess with it. They don't futz with it.
Leslie Visser, though, might say the Garden. Of course, you're talking about the Boston Garden. But even that, there is no Boston Garden anymore, right?
It's like the TD Ameritrade Garden. Like, they've tried to keep Garden in there.
Some bank.
But exactly. Like,
well, that leads to an interesting question. What are these banks doing with your money?
Making lots of money.
They're paying you like such a minuscule. I mean, the decimal point extends for like 5 digits before you even get to a number that isn't a zero.
Yep.
In terms of interest rates. And what are they doing with your money? They're putting their names on arenas.
They make lots of money off your money.
It's crazy.
And you make nothing.
Is it mortgages? Is that where they're suckering all these people? Loans? Student loans? Where they? Oh, yeah.
That's a good
financing deals that somehow benefit them to a great extent, and at the same time rob the public of any chance of seeing their savings grow in anything but absolutely minute proportions. All right, here's a good one, and we'll get into some more things here on the program. Glad you guys tuned in today. The Defo Show here on Ion Channel, ionchannel.com. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz, streaming audio and video, and very happy to be representing a lot of great people here on the program, including later on Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. That is a great place. I'm not sure that the Gambling Gourmet, Mike Mayo, has fully endorsed the brilliance of Texas Roadhouse.
Well, because he's Mr. like mom and pop.
Sophistication, yeah.
Well, no, it's just the places that, have their own owners. And Roadhouse is a franchise. But again, that's why Tony and I were amazed. They treat themselves not like their stuff is made from scratch. Like, every day they make their own stuff, which most franchises don't.
And they also emphasize, and we learned this from dealing with Ed Garcia and some of the people that we met from Texas Roadhouse local stores, is that or local locations.
Yeah.
Would that make sense? Local locations. Yeah.
Yes.
Locations in the area here. That's what I'm. Come on, Defo, pull it out of your ass. Tell me what you're talking about. You understand what I'm talking about, right, people? I mean, I'm glad you guys tuned in for those reasons. But I mean, the local operators, that's kind of what I was looking for. I mean, they take tremendous pride in being the best.
Yes.
And the company does a great job of kind of recognizing that. And there are many now well-run chain restaurants.
Yes.
And there's a way to do it. And that's why Texas Roadhouse, they really stand out. And the prices, I think, are also just ridiculous there.
They're not killing you, which is
No,
nice.
I mean, when steaks are going in restaurants for like $60, $70, $80.
No, they haven't really changed their prices much.
A buddy of mine told me that it's only a matter of time before you see like $100 steak in a place that used to maybe charge $42 when it was pricey.
That's insane.
$100 steak. Yeah, he's in the restaurant business. But you're not going to see that at Texas Roadhouse. Extremely well-run, but always get hungry. I mean, great, well-run establishments. And the local people take tremendous pride in what they do there at Texas Roadhouse. So Tony's going to join us later on. He should be all over this. Nobody, I mean, in my opinion, nobody really has any great insight into who won the recruiting class. What would it be? I mean,
well, it's not a science. They're human beings. Like, I mean, guys that are 3 stars can be amazing, and guys that are 5 stars flame out. It just, you get the most 5 stars put together, you usually do okay. Like, that's usually.
I just we have to put our line on it. I'm sorry, Tony. We love you, but how many in the moments? Over under in the moments.
The moments.
Yeah, today. I mean, because it's about the kid who can live in the moment.
Yes.
Which you have no idea about a high school kid. I guess you could have some idea, but I don't know that it would be like a widespread and unanimous opinion that, oh, well, this kid can't miss. I mean, and know that. I mean, you just in your heart of hearts, you know that this guy's so well-rounded, so well-grounded. Todd Marinovich, right? I mean, you would have thought that he would have had no problem. Guy was Meshuggah. Incredible. So you never know. I mean, it's the
No.
most unprecise thing that you could talk about in sports is who had the best recruiting class. And yet, what I love about you, Lubie,
I
you're
love it.
obsessed
All in.
obsessed with it and convinced that the general consensus is correct, which I
mean, if you
thinking
look
they're
at
just
the
going
top
by
five,
name. Yeah,
if you look at the top five. They're the top five every year, and look at the teams that are fighting for the playoffs every year. I mean,
but it's like, is Bob Baffert going to have the best stock? Maybe not now that he's ensconced in controversy. Is Todd Pletcher going to get the best stock in racing? 2-year-olds, are going out to be distributed by various ownership groups. And they're saying, well, what trainer do we want to have these horses? What barn do we want to have them in? You're thinking about the top guys, just like it is in college recruiting, right? It's always the same characters, usual suspects, all at the top of the list. Steph Curry, I mentioned this, and we started talking about the Mecca of basketball, but Steph Curry breaks the record, Ray Allen's record for 3-point conversions in an NBA career. Allen played 18 years. It is interesting, too, to think that Steph Curry was a guy, speaking of draft stature and whether or not he was going to make it, that many people thought was going to get the shit beat out of him while he was out there as an NBA player. That it was one thing to be bouncing off the players at the level that he met for the most part playing at Davidson. And then, he acquitted himself very well in the NCAA tournament, turned a lot of people on that, wow, he was even alive. Did people really know Steph Curry so much before that NCAA tournament with Davidson?
No. The tournaments, but I thought you were going to say like after the tournament. No, the tournament.
Davidson, think about it. Name me another great player from Davidson. Can you name one?
Oh no, I always forget that he's from Davidson. I always want to say he's from Dayton for some reason. That tournament put him
Davidson,
on
right? I mean, am I right about that? Davidson. Yeah.
You're right. It's Davidson.
All right.
That put him on the scene, and then he was never left.
You made me question my own.
You nailed it. You got it.
Assured nature that, wow, you're onto something. All right, no, we have to run. No Hitler mustache today, huh? You like the look? Okay. All right, very good.
Don't ever do
Sometimes, Jack Namer will say, hey, you look good today. Yeah, but he hasn't been saying that lately.
I think he's been really busy lately, but I was lucky enough to get him on the phone.
They got like Miami Vice, the revived edition. They're shooting it in the studios as we speak. They got like cop cars in there, all kinds of stuff. Man's a wild man. Jack Namer, Ion Channel. Good people there. Amy also, especially, she's got to be digging National Recruiting Day. Huge college football fan. I mean, the woman loves college football.
Yeah, she's great. She's all in. And then, of course, Brad, who we wouldn't be on air without.
Brad, is more of a technical variety in terms of the sports content of the show. Because you could say, hey, Brad, how'd the show sound? And you go, good. But it looked marvelous. All right, we're coming back with more in a moment. I got going so crazily here that neglected to realize that we're taking and cutting into the time of the great Dave Hyde, who's going to join us, South Florida Sun Sentinel. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. He has a lot of interesting things to say, always in the newspaper and online.
We haven't talked to him about since Cristobal, and he's been all over that. Before they got him, he was urging the Canes to get him, and now since they've had him.
Maybe he knows if Nevin Shapiro got sprung. All right, Hialeah Park, beautiful place. Wow, they had the contest there. It was fantastic. Frankie told me they closed in the final race. Frank Fiore, the great Frank Fiore, who I love the fact that it doesn't matter how well run every event has been in the past at Hialeah Park, leading right up to and including the handicapping tournament, which everybody was raving about. He will still schwitz the details of the next event like no tomorrow. He's already probably worried about some of those holiday dinners. Even though, he's not running the catering department, but, with the marketing and everything that he does, they have a great plan there for holiday dinners, holiday parties. Jack said he was willing to take a sniff maybe and put the holiday Christmas party from Ion Channel on at Hialeah Park. Could you go wrong, Jack? No.
No way.
I don't care, what the price is, as long as we don't have to contribute. No, it would be worth it. I would be willing to put my own money into this thing. Because Hialeah Park is that spectacular. And then, of course, what could be a better holiday party than when you can go down to the casino there? And somebody hit for like 43 dimes the other day on the Royal Reels machine. $43,000, Lubie.
That's oof.
Nice. A gambling score before the holidays is better than, doing it for the first time.
Oh, probably. It's usually clunky the first time. A gambling score the first time.
Wow, look at this.
For the rest of your life.
I do have a story about my grandson also.
Let's go there, Mr.
Story. The gambling here, it's reached another level. But anyway, Hialeah Park. I should bring him down there because the guy's got mathematical intuition. My grandson, Liam, 6 years old, incredible mathematical intuition. Solved the problem for his school project there in preschool. Well, no,
Nice.
he's like in the
Yeah, I
first
mean,
grade.
on the first, but now, yes.
First grade, but yeah, he got an ace. It was almost like a calculus thing. He figured out you need to hit 52.38% of your wagers at a minus 110 if you're playing into a 10-cent line. Fortunately, the teacher in the first grade was also a sick degenerate that had just come from his Gamblers Anonymous meeting, so he could teach these kids. But he said, "Well, you're absolutely right. 52.38, A plus, Liam Deforrest." And I could take him to Hialeah Park. He would love it there too, because you got the flamingos and all of this other stuff. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. So whether it's like a family dinner or whatever it is, an office party, Hialeah Park, HialeahPark.com for details about holiday parties, and then El Boxeo coming up in January. Can't wait to get out there for that. All happening at beautiful Hialeah Park. The guy who won the last race with a $42 horse, put $100 on it. That's how he won the tournament. Unbelievable. It was a fantastic event. It figures it would close with that kind of a rush at Hialeah Park. All right, back with Dave Hyde in a moment. Now that. That sign Lubie's giving me, if you're watching the video, is like,
what are you doing, sign?
hurry up, Defo!
Since day one of old
Go to
school,
break.
we've had Catholic Health Services be part of our family. They are recognized as the quintessential rehab facility in the Southeast for strokes, but it goes well beyond strokes because Catholic Health Services is in the community of South Florida to help the community stay healthy. And if they're not healthy, get them healthy and get them back on their feet quicker than they could have ever expected. They do it every single day. It's step and repeat 24/7. Catholic Health Services.
Destination Sport Miami is here to revolutionize the sports landscape in South Florida. The largest indoor multifaceted sports complex in North America is on the way, with distinguished leaders of its various sports programs and unparalleled access to the finest indoor training fields and facilities. Destination Sport Miami will set South Florida apart as the destination of choice for elite athletic training and development, and for its dedication to youth programs and sports on all levels. A phenomenal concept and a powerful undertaking, Destination Sport Miami will also be an important commodity in the sports business community as well. Destination Sport Miami, its time has come. The championship meet is right around the corner at Gulfstream Park. The only place for live racing, Gulfstream's action has never been hotter. Whether it's on the track, in the casino, or part of the dining and entertainment offered at the village of Gulfstream Park. Currently running Thursday through Sunday, Gulfstream's racing package is the best in the country, with all the top horses and people in the game pointing towards another tremendous winter season. Check out the remodeled first floor casino, open 7 days and nights a week, along with the many special events and concerts happening at Gulfstream Park. You can place your wagers from anywhere at firstbet.com. Check the calendar of events at gulfstreampark.com.
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Buy or lease a Taos and take it to the house at Deal Volkswagen. Anna and her team make your next VW purchase or lease so easy, with new inventory rolling in daily and the biggest selection of certified pre-owned vehicles in the business. You can make your deal online at dealvolkswagen.com or visit the beautiful showroom in the classic location, 3601 Bird Road, right in the heart of the Gables. Or give Anna and the team at Deal a call at 305-448-DEEL. Jettas, Passats, Tiguans, Atlas models, and the hottest vehicle in the industry, the new Taos, all at unbeatable prices and all ready to roll off the showroom floor at the #1 Volkswagen dealership around, Deal Volkswagen. Dave, you almost think about sending sympathy cards to your brothers in the media that had to attend that game, which I have the good fortune of not having to schlep down to these Dolphin games. But we've been equating it with the saga of Terry Schiavo, which you'll remember, Dave, where the family was begging Jeb Bush forever to let them pull the plug on this poor woman who'd been in a coma for like 2 decades. And that's kind of what watching that game was like. I don't know. Were you forced to attend that in your duties with the Sun Sentinel, or as a columnist with pretty much free choice over what material you're going to put in the newspaper and make as your contribution? Did you find something out of town, perhaps, to cover that day?
I did go to the game, and the lead
Oh
of
my
my
God.
column was quick. What's the phone number of the researchers who are studying brain damage from the NFL? I want to donate my brain.
That Nowitzki guy, you got him on hold. I mean, that's great.
I want to donate my brain because it's been damaged. It's been damaged from the last couple decades.
The best way to kick off your day is with Defo plus Lubie. We now return to the Defo Show.
Like a lot of you, always been a big fan of terrific sports writing. I've been reading sports columns and sports articles, sports stories my whole life, going all the way back. You know, it was very good back in the day. I've said this before. Mike Lubie Lubitz, and welcome back to the Defo Show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubie Lubitz, Ion Channel, IonChannel.com. Google the Defo Show. You can find us audio and video streaming. But Tony Kornheiser, a young Kornheiser, as a columnist in Newsday.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very impressive and always very interesting. Of course, there have been many greats, and in South Florida, if you say, wow, who is the preeminent sports columnist, South Florida, maybe all time, eclipsing even Eddie Pope at this point, the great Eddie Pope.
He's definitely up there.
That kind of a country thing.
You may disagree with Pope, but
very likable man. I mean, there was nobody that had a bad thing to say about Eddie Pope, but this guy's right up there, knocking on the door of Eddie Pope type of fame and greatness. Dave Hyde of the South Florida Sun Sentinel joins us here on the program. David, how are you, my friend?
I think you just topped yourself for going overboard in my introduction. I love it. I love that.
Yeah, Pope, a little bit of hyperbole. Jim Murray was next on the list, but he's an LA guy, so a lot of people here in South Florida wouldn't have gotten the reference. Although you could have plugged in. Jim Murray was brilliant, but he had kind of a formula column. See, and I admire the fact that you pick up the Sun Sentinel, or obviously people are reading it online right now. But, you take a look at any of your columns, and you don't know. It could be something completely different. Anything from, like, finding Jake Scott in Hawaii to the homeless guy that Bill Parcells was helping out to what's going on at the University of Miami, which Lubie wanted me to start there, David, with you today, because it was part of a wild coaching carousel where moves that even those that anticipate these kind of things for a living couldn't necessarily have foreseen. I don't know that I saw Lincoln Riley leaving his job there in Oklahoma and going to USC. I don't think anybody really was convinced that Brian Kelly was going to leave the sanctimony of Notre Dame and go to the SEC. And all of a sudden, miraculously, as we've been saying, develop a Cajun accent overnight. As if struck by some kind of voodoo stick as soon as he got, into the Baton Rouge area there. And of course, Mario Cristobal, that this was something that was speculated upon for a long time. Probably could have gotten the job, but when he was coaching at FIU, I forget, maybe they opted for like Al Golden at that time. But then went on a pretty interesting and impressive uphill coaching odyssey that included a stint at Alabama, highly respected there, and then with Oregon. What did you make? Well, where did this money come from? Well, we wondered, Dave, if you had any inside information as to whether Nevin Shapiro had funded this move and had gotten out of jail somehow.
Have you looked at your wallet, Defo?
No, I did invest in some of those South American grocery stores, though, and in the beginning, the return was rather handsome.
There was a changeover of who's calling the shots at the University of Miami. From board of trustee members, you saw names that we hadn't seen: a Manny Cadre, a Jose Mas, and then the people from the university themselves, Rudy Fernandez, and kind of headlined what was going on. And the model, as I talked to Rudy Fernandez yesterday at Dan Radakovich's formal introduction, and he says it's all based on a delta curve. I love this when academia and football meet. The delta curve in economics, where the bottom line is this: they're playing before half full stadiums, and if they can get to 90%, all these moves will pay for themselves. It comes back to what it always does. Can Mario Cristobal win? Can Dan Radakovich help winning? And maybe can they build a stadium or find a stadium near their campus, which is, what they ultimately what they would love to do.
It's not possible, though. And I don't know if you had any
Gables
experience
stuff.
along these lines trying to get a permit to do anything in Coral Gables.
I just love that idea.
It would take you 12 years if you had like Roy Black on the case or his law firm to get a permit to mow your lawn in Coral Gables. If it went against whatever onerous city ordinance was in play at the time.
Yeah, I loved. There was the guy doing that, John Ruiz, who his family has pledged $500 million towards a stadium.
Nice.
Says
Sweet.
they personally will fund it.
There you go.
But he on social media he was showing me for a helicopter. I'm going up to look for sites. I thought it was great, tremendous. Let's go look for sites. Now, the most practical or connect the dots idea is Inter Miami wants a stadium in Miami-Dade, and the Moss brothers own Inter Miami, obviously, and they're also connected with the power brokers at the University of Miami, and Miami wants a stadium. So connect those two dots, and maybe something happens there.
Jorge No Mas, man, I love this guy, and they have that contaminated Mel Reese Park, right? That they could build a stadium on if they were looking to, except. People are passing out just from the fumes, the toxic fumes that are emanating from there, after playing like 3 holes of golf, if they still have the golf course there. I used to play down there. Julio Frank, I didn't realize he was a president of the University of Miami. I mean, some of these past presidents, of course, Donna Shalala, when she was running the show, was very much in the spotlight. And even Tad Foote, to a certain degree, was in the spotlight. You probably wrote any number of articles. I believe you were around at the time when Jamie was saying that it's him. That's the only reason we're not winning championships anymore. Tad Foote, he had issues with Tad Foote, who seemed like a likable enough guy, seemed friendly enough on the sporting front. But Julio Frank, doesn't he sound like a left-handed specialist reliever for the Angels? You'd hear like Dick Enberg introducing, okay, here comes Julio Frank out of the bullpen. So, all right, so the authority is now in the hands of others.
He played in Double A for a couple. Yeah, the hard.
Marlins caller.
The highest profile Julio Frank had was when Kirk Herbstreit called him out this fall. I mean, at least in the sports world, and he issued a really a 8-page comeback, full of academia and everything to Herbstreit and his importance for football. But I mean, the bottom line here is he saw value in football, investing in it this hiring cycle and sports, and they got. It was 2 home runs. I mean, for University of Miami, they got Mario Cristobal, who I thought it was a Hail Mario going after him. You know, Oregon is set up as good financially and to compete nationally as any program in the country. And so to go out and get him was that's 1 home run. And then you got the guy who changed around the business of Clemson and football, and he did it at Georgia Tech. He's been at LSU. He's go back at the very start of his career. He was at Miami, so he has some background here in Radakovich. And you put those two together, and it looks like it would work. It can work, and so we'll see if Miami football can get back to not where they were with Jimmy and Butch, but just relevancy nationally.
Well, and we often talk about it, and it's true. It's in evidence throughout sporting history, the cyclical nature of sports. And we've seen programs that were down very much at the top, so it's possible to resurrect that. People thought the dynamics. Interesting what you said, Dave. And we have Dave Hyde, the South Florida Sun Sentinel columnist, with us here on Channel on the Defo Show. That the dynamics, understanding the dynamics of the financial aspects, which have changed so dramatically and figure to do so even more when I don't know if the colleges have embraced gambling to the extent that pro leagues that in the recent past, as in like maybe even last year, were appalled by the whole nature of like DraftKings, FanDuel, Caesars, and all of these various entities that are investing billions to help separate degenerates like me from their money. And, and clue you into, using their method of gambling or their system so that you can go ahead. And my grandson just figured out, Dave, that you have to win 52.38% of your games to beat a 10-cent line. This was his first grade math project. And so, I mean, when the colleges embrace this, I mean, the money will be enormous. And if they do, and you would imagine that they will eventually have to, just like the state of Florida will eventually have to have some kind of system in place because everybody else is cashing. So the importance of understanding that financial dynamic maybe exceeds, athletic instinct and the ability to spot good coaches and players and things of that nature.
Yeah, there are revenue streams that weren't available 10 years ago. I mean, and that's one of them. It'll be interesting to see who's the first college team to jump into it.
Alabama.
Says it was interesting for Alabama. For years, none of the pros leagues allowed themselves to even look at Las Vegas. Now they're tripping over themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So it'll probably be similar in college. The question will be a conference really that'll go. And look, the SEC. Well, why not them? Well, they're there already, right? I mean, why not just allow? They'll go at it. So, but yeah, look at what Miami spent. $8 million a year for Mario Cristobal, $9 million to get him out of his Oregon contract, $2 million about with incentives for Radakovic. Then I'm not sure whether it was $4 or $8 million to buy Manny Diaz out of his contract. So, you start adding up. Those are the type of dollar figures that in past years we were told Miami just didn't have the money for. So their thinking changed, and like I said, there's just new people making a lot of the decisions inside now.
Interesting stuff. Great reporting, of course. And you were at the press conference yesterday with Radakovic being introduced, which kind of became a secondary consideration, but maybe just as important as the hiring of Mario Cristobal. Let's hope they make it back. It would sure be fun. You and I have discussed this before, Dave Hyde of the Sun Sentinel. Misery is often the most common, foundation of any kind of sports talk or sports conversation or sports writing. But ecstasy really does sell.
Yes.
And I don't mean the drug. It is kind of like the drug. When your teams are winning, it's much better for business than people would anticipate, because it seems like everybody just wants to fetch and complain about how dumb their favorite organization is. I witness the example here, if you have the video stream in there, Dave, of Mike Lubitz, who appears on screen right now. Hates his own teams.
Well, how about the Boston radio stations have ratings of like 15 because all four teams are pro teams are contending, and meanwhile you're right down with the Sun Sentinel circulation, right? We need the best thing to do for business is to have winning teams. I mean, I always laugh when people say, "Oh, you like to rip the teams when they're bad. You get to rip them. That's great for your business." No, that's really not good for business. What's good for business is championships.
Always great.
Up and down mixed in.
Good stuff, Dave Hyde. Always a pleasure, my friend. You'll have to come back more often here. Now, I'm going to go ahead. I think I'm going to spring for the buck because now you got me. Well, when you came up with that whole thing, and I realized, wow, Dave Hyde, it's all about the math.
You've been saving up for that big Sun Sentinel purchase. I know you.
Yes.
Yes, if I have any money left over after this move, the Mustang, as if Norman Schwarzkopf once again had like 16 more workers in this new pad we bought. So, in the middle of the, all I wanted was one piece of the parquet floor from the old Boston Garden in the middle of the new flooring she put in. And, I kind of wish I just bought the Boston Garden instead because it would have been cheaper. Storm windows. Oh my God! There was
one or the other.
Try not to buy a house where after the inspection you find out nothing works. Dave, always a pleasure. At least there's now some foundation there for Let's hope everybody gets good, so there'll be reason for people to subscribe. I'm throwing the buck in for your cause there online to subscribe to the Sun Sentinel. And next time that special comes up, and we thank you so much for being with us here on the show. It's always a pleasure, my friend.
All right, Defo.
Be well, sir.
Very good, man. How about that, Lubie? We had a guy actually out covering something that's part of this program.
Look
that was great.
Look, you made it.
Now we have a guy who's on every sporting committee and is in on, and I don't know, I still have reservations about some of the things that we let Tony get away with saying on the show last week, don't you? I would never want to butt heads with Tony Segreto. I mean, there's no way not to like Tony Segreto.
I think he was
Would
honest.
you agree with that? Is that a fair statement? There is no way not to like Tony Segreto.
That's 100% accurate. I agree with that
Great
statement
guy.
wholeheartedly.
Well
He's got
respected. I mean,
business.
the people that want to support old school with Tony Segreto, think about that. Since the inception, Catholic Health Services,
Yes.
I came from personal experience to find out that they were even better than, like you could throw the ultimate hyperbolic statements out there about a company as part of an endorsement. Let's face it, how many people are going to endorse a company and go, you know what, that place really blows. I wouldn't go there on a bet.
The fact that you've personally worked with them, Tony's worked with them, says everything.
Oh, man.
You're not just talking out of your ass.
My brother, my friend, my brother talking about Catholic Health Services, right? Said, hey, this is the best organization I've ever dealt with on any type of bureaucratic and, medical type of stuff where you have to go through lots of red tape just to get a phone call answered. Best company he's ever dealt with in like his lifetime on these kind of fronts, Catholic Health Services. So they back Tony Segreto. Texas Roadhouse, we know about them. My God, I mean, you could spend an hour talking about sweet potatoes. That's how good they are.
Exactly.
We've done it, right? And so you know that Tony, having these kind of backers, is a man of great quality and integrity.
Yes.
And yet, I don't know. Did he really know nothing? When he came on the show on Thursday, when all of this went down like an hour later, like we hung up the phone, Tony left the screen there at 9 o'clock. And then by the next, hour, like 10 o'clock, all these announcements were made.
Oh, I mean, no, last week it all happened at the beginning of the week. It was the Thursday before.
I'm exaggerating to make a point. You know I do that a lot.
Thursday before was when Manny still had the job, but people thought he was gone. And Tony was very clear about how he just wasn't sure what was going to happen. And last week he explained it to us, and I take him at his word. He's always been honest with us, and I believe
I'm
him.
going to have to do that also. All right, Andy, who I don't know if I can come through with those tickets, Andy. I can get you one. I know that for a fact. I don't know if you want to have the date that you bring while you sit at a table with the Mustang, me, and one of her friends. I don't know if you want to have your date in standing room, but no, we'll see what happens there. But Andy is right about this. He says, Liam, my grandson, should bring Lifshitz for show and tell after coming up with this mathematical proposition.
100%.
And he is, obviously a bookie, drives a Bentley. The juice wins all the time. A degenerate math lesson, right? So he should help the kids out and say, even though I figured this out, you're playing into 52.38 against, right? If you break even, you lose. That was the point that Liam was trying to make to me when we were over the house there for Thanksgiving. Grandpa Defo, can you believe he took this on himself as if he was going to follow in the footsteps of his dad and become a CPA?
There you go.
Right? I mean, does this kid not display mathematical instincts? I want him to run the sports book at Caesar's Palace. That would be my dream job for anybody that was carrying the DNA, the lineage of the Deforrest name. All right, we're coming back with more. Tony Segreto joins us. We go old school with Tony Segreto here on the Defo Show. He's Mike Lubitz. I'm Jeff Deforrest. Gulfstream Park Championship meet is on. I want to tell you that, wow, I mean, I get so excited. You get around to racing days at Gulfstream Park, and from top to bottom, right? First race on, you're thinking, this is going to be my day. And a sensational atmosphere out there. You know, the winter months are so pleasant to be outside. You can't find a better time than to get out there and make your social calendar clear and include at least a weekend or two or three or maybe even every racing day during the championship meet. A lot of people do that, Lubie. They come down here. They rent like a condo for 2 months. They're in Hallandale, and they just go to the track. We had many people that were of that variety. And they would do it and make a whole wintertime of it here. Now it's open year-round, but the championship meet is something really, really special. So check it out for yourself. Make sure you make your plans to visit beautiful Gulfstream Park. All right, Mike Lubitz, I'm Jeff Deforrest, coming back with more on the Defo Show here on Ion Channel. Very excited to be with you and bring you Old School with Tony Segreto. That is coming up next in a moment. Now that. It's 8:04 on the East Coast.
It's the Gambling Gourmet for Cafe Seville in Fort Lauderdale. It's one of my favorite places. It is old school joint that's serving Spanish and classic continental cuisine in a cozy, friendly setting. It's at 2768 East Oakland Park Boulevard. They're open every day except Sunday for dinner, starting at 5 p.m. You go in there, you see Joey and his better half, Sally. They are giving the greatest in service. And the food, oh my gosh, it's paella, shrimp with garlic sauce, stuffed veal chop. They serve this great, fantastic, warm sourdough bread. Go to Cafe Seville in Fort Lauderdale and tell them that the Gambling Gourmet sent you.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. What if I told you you could go to a great restaurant, feel completely safe because their COVID protocol is unmatched, have an amazing meal, have a great time? When the bill comes, you won't get sticker shock. You're going to say, that's too good to be true. No, it's not, because I'm talking about Texas Roadhouse. Great family atmosphere, great atmosphere for a couple, great atmosphere if you just want to go by yourself and watch a game and have the coldest beer in town. And while you're doing that, have the best bread in town. All at Texas Roadhouse. Everything you get there is fresh every day and made sure it's served at your table, hot and ready to go. And the best part is you don't get sticker shock because the prices are amazing. Texas Roadhouse.
Destination Sport Miami is here to revolutionize the sports landscape in South Florida. The largest indoor multifaceted sports complex in North America is on the way, with distinguished leaders of its various sports programs and unparalleled access to the finest indoor training fields and facilities. Destination Sport Miami will set South Florida apart as the destination of choice for elite athletic training and development, and for its dedication to youth programs and sports on all levels. A phenomenal concept and a powerful undertaking, Destination Sport Miami will also be an important commodity in the sports business community as well. Destination Sport Miami, its time has come.
Since day one of Old School, we've had Catholic Health Services be part of our family. They are recognized as the quintessential rehab facility in the Southeast for strokes, but it goes well beyond strokes because Catholic Health Services is in the community of South Florida to help the community stay healthy. And if they're not healthy, get them healthy and get them back on their feet quicker than they could have ever expected. They do it every single day. It's step and repeat 24/7. Catholic Health Services.
Buy or lease a Taos and take it to the house at Deal Volkswagen. Anna and her team make your next VW purchase or lease so easy with new inventory rolling in daily and the biggest selection of certified pre-owned vehicles in the business. You can make your deal online at dealvolkswagen.com or visit the beautiful showroom in the classic location, 3601 Bird Road, right in the heart of the Gables. Or give Anna and the team at Deal a call at 305-448-DEEL. Jettas, Passats, Tiguans, Atlas models, and the hottest vehicle in the industry, the new Taos, all at unbeatable prices and all ready to roll off the showroom floor at the #1 Volkswagen dealership around, Deal Volkswagen.
What we gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto, brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
Tell me, doctor, where are we going this time?
Very excited to be with you and to introduce this week's edition of Old School with Tony Segreto, because there are a lot of like Segreto-oriented things that we need to talk about here on the show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz.
And what might that be?
I mean, so much of this stuff is like right up your alley.
One has to wonder what might that be. I figured I'd come in ready to be punched.
No more punching
by
back.
Someone.
We took care of that.
And not only get punched, but then hear 2 weeks later that you weren't satisfied with the punches, that you want to redo that. So
I was got to go to the body first and then the head.
I will tell you this. I have to make a comment on Dave Hyde, who I love.
That was very interesting, wasn't it?
Well, I'm well aware of all that he had talked about because I just well aware. I did not think that the Mario Cristobal thing was out of reach. I thought the Radakovich deal would be out of reach. I really did.
Nothing is out of reach.
I thought Mario had. I think Mario. I think there was. The way the season ended for Oregon and the way the season looked for Mario, I think the opportunity came at the perfect time. So I really did not see that as a Hail Mario, as he put it. I really did think it was that way for Radakovich. Despite the fact that the football program had a little bit of a down year, he was sitting pretty. He was sitting in a great situation in Clemson. I had talked to Dan a number of times when he was behind the desk at Clemson, and consider him a friend of mine, and just he was as happy as could be. And I thought what he did at Clemson was truly remarkable because he not only made them relevant, obviously in football and in basketball, but he resurrected a bunch of programs with Title IX and made them relevant immediately. Immediately, whether it was tennis, track and field, women's softball, whatever it was, immediately they were relevant. So I really think the marriage of the two, along with the support of someone like the administration where Rudy Fernandez is leading the pack. Rudy is a remarkable man, Harvard grad, chief of staff of President Frank, and with him leading the way and the trustees that are involved, I just think it was a home run, and excited to see where we go from here. And while we can sit here, sports people will sit here and criticize, the academia, the Delta curve, they did the math, they figured it out, and they're not stupid. And I think it's I'm excited about where, as an alum, where we're headed with this program. And again, I think relevancy is going to be critical.
I love your enthusiasm for this, Tony. See, I knew it was going to be good because you even jumped in before the introduction to clarify the position here.
I figured if I didn't, the chances of me speaking would be limited to nothing.
No,
so.
You got all the time in the world here. It's Tony Segreto Old School. But all right, this is Tony Segreto, a longtime broadcaster in South Florida, and iconic in many, many ways, including sports and news, and really did it all here. And he started when he was like 7 years old with Bernie Rosen, and his presence here on the show, here on Ion Channel, brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants and Catholic Health Services, testing to the quality and integrity of this man. Now, we were just having some fun with that whole thing about what did you know and when did you know it. But what I found was interesting, that they even sent a columnist to cover something about that at the University of Miami. Maybe 5-6 years ago, the interest was starting to become more and more limited, and they would have covered some youth girls soccer game instead in that spot. Radakovich, it's interesting that you knew this guy. I'll just give you a quick story. That whole thing at Clemson years ago, I guess it was early 90s. I was traveling with the UM basketball team. I don't know what your experiences were like there. Mm-hmm. And Leonard Hamilton, I think, was a little naive, even though, you would think his background would have included knowledge in this area. But he stops at a place, so we kind of got lost. The bus got lost from the airport to the hotel. So we're there with like 15 large black kids. And, a couple of guys and a black head coach. And he stops at like what looks like, a trailer park where there was a restaurant that said open, right? There was not much out there available. And he goes in there as the kids are exiting the bus and says to these like stone hillbillies, they looked like they were straight off the cliffs of Deliverance, and says, you guys know where we can get some soul food around here? And I just ran back to the bus. And that was Clemson, man. A very intimidating place. That ride into the the football stadium there is really weird, isn't it, Tony? You've taken that a few times, right?
Yeah. I just, I think what Radakovich was able to do at that university and put it in a position, who would have thought 10 years ago, not even that Clemson would be the team of record in the ACC. And they really are. They're the standard. They're the standard in which you set your goal for, right? And even when they were down this past year, you always had this feeling that the monster would raise its head and start another juggernaut. So I think him leaving Clemson is going to be, and then all the other guys, the assistant coaches that left there, is going to be interesting to see how Dabo recovers. But it's great for us to have Radakovich. I think he's going to do one heck of a job of revamping that entire athletic department. And I'm excited, again, as someone obviously involved in sports, but and I'm not blowing smoke here. I'm truly excited. I believe that Mario will come in and understand where we were in terms of how we were perceived and what we can take from that and apply it now, but still keep us in a very competitive, classy way. And I believe Mario will do that.
All right, Tony Segreto with us here, Old School with Tony Segreto on the Defo Show. See, I remember doing radio shows, and you were probably a part of some of those, and it might have been different from a TV coverage standpoint. You probably had to send crews, Tony, to stake out certain kids' households in town on National Letter of Intent Signing Day.
No question.
And you would want to get the reaction as the guy, I don't know that they had, the thing where they put the hat on back at that time, but it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And it's still, across college football, a big deal. I don't know about what are your recollections. I do remember they literally would have people lining up. If we had this Max Emfinger guy on, who I believe was exposed eventually as like a Bernie Madoff type of fraud when it came to his actual knowledge of what was happening on the recruiting scene. But he was the first to dive into this, and he was the expert everybody had on.
Yeah.
And people would line up like during the Neil Rogers show, which was on at 10 a.m., to try and get a call in about a recruit or a recruiting situation at 6 o'clock at night on the Sports Talk show when it came on. People were just absolutely of rabid interest in this, or were we forcing it on them? It seemed like it was the hottest topic when you got to that February National Signing Day, and everybody was either elevated or crushed as a result of the way people judged their recruiting class.
Well, yeah, absolutely, and the recruiting classes then weren't scrutinized like they are today. They weren't listed as, okay, this is the number one recruiting class, but we covered it highly. I think now, and I sent actually Lubie a screenshot. Yeah, I interviewed Kirby Smart yesterday, and in fact, I'm interviewing Jim Harbaugh today. And one of the things
you've been hobnobbing with some really big shots, Tony. I mean, I love
I
this.
know.
You're so humble about it.
So it begs the question: is why am I doing this
with us?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it has to be, something related to capital,
why?
I would imagine.
Because you guys are my family. That's why. Because I love you guys.
You see the possibilities here. You see, and you know this Jack Namer. You know him to be an achiever. Yes.
Not only do I see the possibilities, I know what I come on here with deep faith that the possibilities are endless. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, it's happening already.
Yeah.
But the point I wanted to bring out is Kirby and I talked about this yesterday. I think this early
Kirby
signing,
and I love this.
I think this early signing date right today, the 15th, has created a whole bunch of issues. I think it's great for the kid, for the athlete, for the young man, because he'll know where he's going. It's all settled. The angst, can go to the holidays. I think for the coaches, in some form or in a small way, it helps them because they know who they have. But on the other end, for the universities itself, look at what they have to do. They have to. Lubie's on the phone, but tell her you love her, Lubie. Tell her you love her.
I think he's going to tell Ed Garcia he loves him.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the point being, look at what the schools had to do. Look at what Brian Kelly had to do. Look at what Lincoln Riley had to do. And in a very abrupt, abrasive, not embraced at all way of leaving a school because they have to get to the early signing date and try to save recruits that they have been recruiting and try and get new recruits and maybe take ones from your old school. So I think it's caused some real issues, some in a positive way and some in a very negative way for these universities and for these programs.
All right, so this is great because speaking of which, now really, Ed, did you get all 12 of Tony's tickets as he implies? Ed Garcia of Texas Roadhouse Restaurants joins us here. All 12? Wow, a dozen of them. That's sweet.
Good morning. Not just the 12, but we were able to get Ed a helmet from the game with logos of both teams on the helmet, right, Ed?
That is correct. Yes, I am looking forward to it. I already have the spot dusted off in the display case, ready to go.
Yeah. Well, I have to tell you, in speaking with our Orange Bowl reps yesterday, and especially with Eric Palms, our CEO, this game already has generated more excitement than we can remember in recent years.
Wow.
This is off the chart in demand for tickets. And Ed, I think you said you went online and they were $12,000. Is that what you last saw?
Oh yes, some of the great seats were about $12,000. The ones that I was looking at were about $2,000 per ticket. And that's just to get somewhat close. But yes, very, very, very pricey, and it is. I think this is going to be the game for the year.
I agree. I think this game right now, looking at it, would be the one that I don't even know if the national championship game could be as good as looking at the matchup, but I think it's going to be great. Meantime, you're going to be sitting there. You could be having some Texas Roadhouse grub. I'm assuming we're going to do a nice tailgate and do a little Texas Roadhouse grub. But one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is It is now my understanding, Ed, that we can get steaks sent to us around the country from Texas Roadhouse.
What?
That is correct. We have a online butcher shop. It's you just type in Texas Roadhouse Butcher Shop into Google, and you can go ahead and get the exact same ribeyes, fillets, sirloin sent to your house. They come packed in dry ice, ready to rock and roll. So if you're just kind of looking for yourself or even a last second gift, I mean, these are absolutely fantastic, great quality product. I just got 4 ribeyes not too long ago, had the parents over for dinner, and I mean, it was just absolutely awesome. Was able to sit back, crack a beer, and turn on the grill in the backyard, enjoy some steaks, and watch some football the other day while eating some really great quality Texas Roadhouse steaks that are also still hand cut.
So all you have to do is, and what again is that website? Texas Roadhouse Butcher Shop?
It's actually trbutchershop.com, and look it up. It'll pop up on Google. It's one of the top hits, and it is doing extremely, extremely well. I think what's really cool, even myself, there was just a couple of last second things I could avoid going to the store. I sent a couple people some of these steaks, and great price, great quality. And it's just something that is absolutely unique that people will enjoy.
I'm all over that, right, Defo?
Oh, great stuff. I mean, you can't beat it. I was talking, and we had the Gambling Gourmet on Fridays, Mike Mayo. And I was saying, I mean, people categorize chain restaurants sometimes in quotes and negativity, but these are so extremely well run, and there's so much pride in the individual locations and the individual operators, and it instills a lot of that and brings that out. And the company really has the kind of vibe that shows you why that they are on top, and that you can go into any Texas Roadhouse restaurant in the country and expect great service, great food, and terrific prices. And always a pleasure. Michigan, wow. I mean, I don't want to, dwell on this right now, but I will get into it because
we got time.
They're 7 and a hook now, Tony Segreto.
Yeah,
I don't know what you think about that. I want to get your opinion on that. All right,
I have to tell you, I love Michigan in this game. I really do. I know we got to take a break, but I'm loving Michigan in this
the line
game.
scares me.
7 and a hook.
And
it went up like a point, right? It started at 6 and 6
Yep.
and a hook, the old dagger there, and you're thinking 6 and a hook. All right, maybe you'd have to consider that somebody knows something that we don't about assessing these two teams.
I was real quick. I swear to you, the team announcement in the Orange Bowl wasn't 2 minutes before Ed Garcia gave me a call and said, "What can we do?"
Well, you did the right thing, Tony, considering their long-time support of the program here and the loyalty to old school with Tony Segreto. And, it didn't matter. We could flip formats, platforms. What is this thing? Ion Channel? How do I get it?
They've been supporting.
Right? I mean, people they don't understand the simplest thing, like the slightest piece of technology sometimes throws them off there. And while the radio business is dying and Jack Namer is prospering with Ion Channel, we're happy that they just took a shot, continued. That's loyalty. I don't think you had any choice, Tony. You might have told him you only had 8. And then, he would have been sitting next to the 4 other people that you got tickets for.
Here's the thing. When you sell tickets like that to people, you want to make sure they're actually going to, put their butts in the seat.
Use them.
Yeah, someone's going to really appreciate them and go and be excited about it. I think that to me is the gift.
Yep.
I taught Lubie a long time ago, and I did this, I was largely criticized for it, but I got some Yom Kippur tickets to the temple that was near my house, and I saw they were 75 face, so the guy sold them to me for face value, and I immediately turned them over for like $3.25 a copy. And then the guy was like, where were you at shul? It's like, I was in the back. I wasn't feeling well. I didn't have a yarmulke. I mean, I was in no position there to show my face.
I was
Ed's there.
I don't think Ed's going to do that. Ed will actually go.
No, I mean, he's got to be thrilled. Tony, did he sign up lifetime with Texas Roadhouse? He's got to be a highly sought after executive. He could have become the AD instead of Radakovich, the way he runs these restaurants. All right, coming back with more with Tony Segreto. It's old school with Tony Segreto. Tony, I mean, he Tony knows how to do things. I mean, there's no question about that. And I like the fact that you came in firing today, Tony. You wouldn't let us just start hammering away with body shots.
Hey, listen, Angelo Dundee taught me well.
Yeah. Keep your elbows
tucked
tucked in. Yes.
You need to come out and let them know who's boss.
A haymaker right away. You hit us with a haymaker. All right, we've been on the defensive, but many things to discuss here with Tony Segreto. Old school with Tony Segreto. It's your time of the year, Tony. I think of you. Snow starting to fall around the country. Maybe just a light sprinkle there, a little dusting for the Christmas holiday spirit, and college football with the bowl season on tap here. So we'll get into some of that with Tony Segreto in a moment here on the Defo Show Ion Channel. Glad you guys are with us here. I think, when Lubie keeps saying this, and that tends to cast a little shadow of doubt upon the whole philosophical approach that we have, that 2022, Tony, is going to be our year. All right, back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
Segreto is strong today. It's 8:25. Play the Pony Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. What if I told you you could go to a great restaurant, feel completely safe because their COVID protocol is unmatched, have an amazing meal, have a great time. When the bill comes, you won't get sticker shock. You're going to say, that's too good to be true. No, it's not, because I'm talking about Texas Roadhouse. Great family atmosphere, great atmosphere for a couple, great atmosphere if you just want to go by yourself and watch a game and have the coldest beer in town. And while you're doing that, have the best bread in town. All at Texas Roadhouse. Everything you get there is fresh every day and made sure it's served at your table, hot and ready to go. And the best part is you don't get sticker shock because the prices are amazing. Texas Roadhouse.
Hey, it's Mike Mayo for Even Keel Fish Shack, corner of A1A and Commercial Boulevard at Lauderdale by the Sea. It's my favorite place now for great seafood in a casual beachfront setting. They've got happy hour 4 to 7 Monday through Friday. They've got great dishes like grilled oysters and oysters on the half shell, bang bang shrimp, lobster rolls, octopus. They also have burgers and chicken for those who don't like the seafood. They're open 7 days a week for lunch, dinner, and weekend brunch. Go to Even Keel Fish Shack. Go say hi to Dave and Brad and tell them the Gambling Gourmet sent you.
Recently, we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752. Would you go into court without an attorney? So why would you go up against an insurance company without Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa? 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Give them a call at 954-809-8752. Why go up against insurance companies alone when you can have Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa on your side?
Buy or lease a Taos and take it to the house at Deal Volkswagen. Anna and her team make your next VW purchase or lease so easy with new inventory rolling in daily and the biggest selection of certified pre-owned vehicles in the business. You can make your deal online at dealvolkswagen.com or visit the beautiful showroom in the classic location, 3601 Bird Road, right in the heart of the Gables. Or give Anna and the team at Deal a call at 305-448-DEEL. Jettas, Passats, Tiguans, Atlas models, and the hottest vehicle in the industry, the new Taos, all at unbeatable prices and all ready to roll off the showroom floor at the #1 Volkswagen dealership around, Deal Volkswagen. We've finally found some fulfillment here on this program as we're sending 2 families to professional wrestling, and we had that kid skip school to get the tickets to the Dolphin game. We feel like we're reaching a measure of distinction here. Now, there's no more distinguished guy in South Florida broadcasting history than the man who joins us next, and that is Tony Segreto. We go old school with Tony Segreto.
He makes charitable work, his life work, so he's mocking us now for what we are proud of Oregon, Denver,
I
and
am not mocking. I am not. I'm not mocking you. I just don't even know how to respond to that because I would not have expected anything less than that kind of intro today. When I heard that gentleman win the tickets to the wrestling and he's taking his children, I saw the wheels. I saw the comedy writer in Defo's head, like trying to write as fast as he could, just to figure out what's next.
I have to write everything
really
down now,
funny.
Tony, because I can't remember my own name. It's written here on a sheet, the Defo Show.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto.
It might be true. As you get older, you tend to get a little bit loopy, and we certainly feel that way today. Happy to be with you here, though, on the Defo Show on Ion Channel. Jack Namer's fine organization. I want to give a lot of credit to the lovely Amy. I think she's really a visionary.
Hey, listen, I think Amy's the one who stirs the drink.
Well, she's a huge sports fan, so she
is
saves
the
her
straw,
ass.
man.
Yeah.
She is the straw that stirs this drink. And you know, I give Namer all the credit because he was smart enough to pick Amy.
Working with her.
Yeah, he did a nice job recruiting their number one recruiting class, no question about it. And then he lands like a Brad Schiller to be his technical guy, and even clowns like us can figure out how to turn this stuff on and look good every day from various locations around the country.
You were talking about Texas Roadhouse just for a second. You know, they're one of the top restaurants in the country considered to have that people-centered culture.
Yes.
You know, them along with like Waffle House, how they treat their employees and make them part of this deal and they recruit employees of character who want to do this. So that's what makes it so cool. And I just wanted to give them a shout out for that because that's pretty special to be able to
that founder CEO guy who unfortunately
Yep.
checked out this past year was the very first when the pandemic hit to say, you know what, I'm making like $400,000 in salary, even though I own the company, but all of that's going right back into the company there to help the employees sustain themselves during what turned out to be and still remains for a lot of people some very, very difficult times. I tell you where it's hitting hard, Tony Segreto, this COVID-19, and we tend to shrug our shoulders and say, it's over. We survived this thing. I've got the booster shots. I know you went out and got yours, even though how many miles of undeveloped woods did you have to traipse through to get to the doctor there at
I needed
Diggs in
to.
Vermont?
Well, when you show up with your chainsaw, there's a suspect. You know?
I mean, we saw clips there. You had a couple of photographs, and it really looked like that undeveloped land that Eric Estrada was selling in Arkansas.
Yeah, for sure.
For a while there, you could buy a couple of lots there and build your dream home on.
Absolutely.
But anyway, I mean, the COVID thing, it seems to be, sort of in some ways in the background. Certainly in news stories, there's always like the third or fourth headline is more shocking COVID-19 statistical information, including nearly 800,000 dead. But where you thought it was really going to affect like the NFL last year, and then there was this hybrid college football season.
Yeah, now
NFL and
it's
NBA. There are teams. I was tracking this. They had some stats on it. I guess on the COVID list in the NFL this week, the Browns have 9 guys on the COVID list.
Yeah,
the Lions have 7. The Rams have 10, I believe. Is that possible? The Rams have 10.
Yeah. I think the number was. I heard a number of 37. I'm not sure if it was a combo of NBA and NFL, but I think what's happened, to your point, when you started this conversation, I think there's been a little bit of a relief. I think the travel's obviously up. This is happening. People are showing up at games. I'm looking around 2 weeks ago when I'm at Cincinnati for the Cincinnati game. And I'm looking around going, there isn't a soul here that's wearing a mask, not a soul. And I think that, and then do you truly know who's vaccinated? People will tell you. I heard a story last night from a friend of mine who has an acquaintance close enough to be a friend when they go visit, and they're under the assumption that they were vaccinated and the people never were. So so it's tough. It's tough. And it's very curious to see what's going to happen, to see how the NBA and NFL react in terms of the fans and what it will do to that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's affecting play. You've had the Chicago Bulls had to have a couple of games postponed now. And in the NBA, it's also really, really rampant at this point as well. as they've been heavily afflicted. NFL 70 players in COVID protocols right now. 70 players. And the NBA has any number of teams, in the same boat.
And you wonder, you excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you wonder where they got it. You sitting here thinking to yourself, okay, did they get it from each other? Did one person bring it in? Is it that way, or were all these people all these guys in the same place? I mean, so that's to me the story.
Was a bigger concern last year. I mean, I don't know if they've let up. It seems to me the testing is more intense. You hear about how guys have to get tested before they even come into the locker room or whatever every day. And, they've tried their best to dodge this, but it's odd because we thought in the very beginning when COVID came out that how do you play football? I mean, you got guys spitting on each other and choking and, vomiting on the field and doing schwitzing like crazy, like they were Patrick Ewing or Moses Malone. And that is going to naturally, just accelerate the transmission of this disease. But it's weird that this is now the time where I think we're seeing some of the heaviest influence of it, at least in the NBA and the NFL.
Well, Giannis, like the star now, LeBron just had, like, that's the one thing this year is you're getting the big name guys who LeBron's supposedly vaccinated. So at least he came back pretty quickly. But Giannis now is in the protocols. Like the NBA is ridiculous right now with the percentages.
No, I agree with you. And I think everybody got a little lax. I think everybody got a little lax about it. And we find ourselves, and especially now with winter coming on, I mean, they're talking about more record numbers. But we hope not. But we hope not.
By the way, and speaking to Dave Hyde was talking about the money that's available. Somebody's got like $500 million they want to put up University of Miami to build a stadium, and they're taking a chopper around to try and scout locations. I just got a text from the upper level management there. I mean, top level brass there owns the property. Deal Volkswagen willing to negotiate. I think they want like $1 billion is their number, but they do have Bird Road US 1, nice location. Huh? They have the two properties across the street from each other.
I give everybody credit for wanting to help Miami out and build a new stadium, but still, at the end of the day, it's not on the campus. Okay, no. It's not on the campus. There is a difference. Defo, you have been, you've been all over the country like I have, going to college games. And there is nothing like a school where, especially the kids, the students, literally can roll out of bed and within 50 feet, 100 feet, they walk to the stadium. Yeah. And there's a difference. It's just a difference. And but I give them credit. Listen, if it's closer, they don't have to bus as far as a Hard Rock, and they have their own site, and they can, let's take the stadium and make it like, hey, listen, the University of Cincinnati has a great little stadium. They have 50,000 people. They can sell it out. It makes things a lot different and a lot better in many ways, especially for the home team and the way that things go. But I do want to talk to you. So you don't believe Michigan? You think that 7 points is too much?
Yes.
You know what? I mean, just based on what I saw in the last few weeks, where Michigan looked to be gathering momentum and coming on. Now, that can obviously be stopped by the exorbitant amount of time there is between their last game, the victory over Iowa. Most people were expecting some kind of letdown there, what I liked as an indicator about the team and where they're at right now. I mean, I know they lost to Michigan State, and everybody was bitching they should fire Harbaugh. But the way that they performed, and you were big on this also. I mean, you beat your arch rival, Ohio State. Giant, can we say monkey off your back? I mean, just to use some kind of common euphemism without insulting anybody, but, a giant load off of your mind and a big plus on your resume. Finally beat Ohio State. They trounced them. They looked great in the second half. And then a lot of people thought maybe they would, many people were wise guys saying, hey, you have to, go ahead and take the underdog in their championship game. Performed very well there. And Georgia losing to Alabama was an eye-opener, I thought, of stunning proportions. And everybody's just shrugging that off and saying, whoa, you know what, that was the exception there. But, I mean, they were shredded by Nick Saban. I mean, shredded by an offense that was stymied in their previous ballgame.
Here's the thing, on two fronts. One, I think that we all wondered whether Michigan would have a letdown against Iowa, but I think we all knew going into the Georgia-Alabama game that if Georgia had an Achilles heel on defense, it was the secondary. But it was never really exposed because the defensive line was so strong that the quarterback never really had a chance to even figure out how to.
They were looking up at the lights the whole time.
Now, mind you, going into the game, Auburn's defensive line just destroyed Alabama's offensive line. So you're thinking, oh my gosh, if Auburn's defensive line can do this, what is Georgia going to do to them? They figured out how to make that offensive line stand up for 4 quarters and give Bryce Young an opportunity to totally expose that secondary. Now, the question is, can Michigan do the same thing? But here's my question, and you and I have had this conversation before, Defo. My biggest issue, the bowl games to me I love them. I love everything about them, what they stand for, what they mean to the community. Being on the Orange Bowl committee, I'm as proud as I could possibly be. When the teams come in to play those games a month after they've played, the team we're seeing in that game isn't the same team we saw end the season.
Yeah,
that month off is a big deal. So to me, like yesterday when I'm talking to Coach Harbaugh about it today, it's a slippery slope. How do you maintain the edge, have them practice hard, not put them in a position to create injury for anybody, and try not to lose the edge when you finally get to the bowl game? Think about their last game and how long they have to wait for their next game.
Well, if you've seen recently too, these playoffs, last year the matchups were perfect. Like you had monster teams. They were supposed to be great games, and all the games sucked. Like all the games. There's usually one team that it's like the Hawaii Bowl. One team's prepared, ready, and then the other team, like Ohio State annihilated, Clemson? Ruined Clemson with Trevor Lawrence there. And then you're thinking, Bama, Ohio State, 2 forces. Bama ruins Ohio State. Like the kids, that's a long time. But what can you do to fix it though? You're not going to play them 2 weeks later. Like you're not going to. I mean, this is
really long. If one of the things that we learned with Coach Shula, God rest his soul, is that these football players, man, they are disciplined. They are up at a certain time every day. They have practice. They know it every time. They know when they're going to play. They're in this regimen. And now we're taking these kids out of this regimen. They got finals coming up, all these different things that they have to do. And then, the holiday, they're going home for the holiday. Then they're going to meet at the site. And then when you get to Miami, how do you control them? What do you do? All of these different factors. So it's going to be curious to see how these games play out.
7 and a hook seems like a generous allotment of points. We're taking a shot on a team that you think can win the game outright. Now, maybe dead wrong. That's entirely possible. And the other factor that you have to include, and all of a sudden we're like college football experts, Tony. Don't you love that? Because we saw 2 games at the end of the season. But, the other factor is, you have guys that are going to defect that haven't been announced yet, that may not play in the game. I mean, the Pittsburgh quarterback, who is it, Pickett? He's not going to play in his bowl game. So all of a sudden, that destroys whatever point spread was put out there originally by the guys that are doing this for a living, who, as we said, if the bookmakers were running the country, if the guys that run the sports books were running the country, there would never even been a COVID-19 outbreak. We would have known a way to beat the pandemic. Everybody would be prosperous. You wouldn't have to worry about price of gas or anything.
We wouldn't have to balance the budget.
That's it for sure. Trillions of dollars would be coming from Asian gambling interests, and we'd be, making a fortune here. All right, Catholic Health Services. We mentioned this, Tony. This vouches for your credibility. No matter what kind of shots we take at you, wild, low blows. I mean, just incredible. But the fact that you are endorsed and embraced by such quality organizations like Texas Roadhouse, and you heard from Ed Garcia earlier today, and Catholic Health Services, which I can't vouch for enough, because sometimes you're not familiar with a company, even though you kind of sense that they're going to be great. You've heard great things about them, but then when you have a firsthand experience and they're beyond the scope of your wildest imagination in terms of customer satisfaction, that's Catholic Health Services.
My father, God rest his soul, had a great relationship with the local pharmacist. The pharmacist loved my dad. Whenever my dad had an issue, whatever that issue was, he would go to the pharmacist or call him up and go, "Hey, I got this, I got that." Catholic Health Services is that way. And by that, I mean this. If you can develop a relationship with them, they're here to educate. we always talk about how great they are at rehab and what they can do for a family and how they keep their families involved and on and on and on and on and on. Because as you well know, Defo, communicating with the family of a loved one who is in hospice like your mom was, or is getting rehabilitation, or is coming back from a serious stroke. The family needs to know what's going on, if not on a daily basis, on an hourly basis almost. Yep. But they're also there to educate. If you have an issue, I don't know about the booster. Should I get it? I had Pfizer. Can I get Moderna? Can I get the flu shot at the same time as I get the vaccine? That's why Catholic Health Services is around. They're here to educate people. You can call them up and say, listen, I'm not one of your clients, but I have a question. I listened to Tony and Defo and Lubie, on Ion channel, and they talked about me calling you and asking you a question. Is it okay? And I guarantee you, if you do that, they will say, sure. What can we help you with? And I think that's important. And as you well know, Defo, having questions answered immediately and not, okay, we'll get back to you in about 3 or 4 or 5 days, is an ease of mind and an anxiety reliever that you can't buy. And I think Catholic Health Services does that each and every day. They're in this community to help people and to educate people, not just sit there and react to people coming in who need help.
My brother also a brilliant observation about them. The people they have in the various categories, you need to talk to somebody in this department or whatever, or they're in charge of this or that. All professional experts, and they really know their stuff. So that if you have an issue and you explain what happened with the hospital or whatever, they know right away what to do. And they don't mess around. A very calm approach. I love Catholic Health Services.
And they're patient. And they're patient with you. And they also make you feel like you are the only one in the world at that moment. They're not. You never feel like you don't feel like they're ever being rushed. And I think that's what makes them so special.
All right, we're coming back. Still more to go with Tony Segreto, Old School with Tony Segreto. Always a pleasure having Tony on the program here. A lot of good stuff today. You're feisty today, Tony Segreto. I like it.
Well, he's talking to Kirby Smart and Nick Saban.
Did you get a new trainer or something? Do you have Sugar Hill Stewart now in your corner, or is there something like that? Some guy that turned Tyson Fury around?
I have Angelo and Ferdy.
All of a sudden, you're a knockout artist. Unbelievable. You were like content to peck away there and maybe try to win on the scorecards. All right, we're coming back with more. Old School with Tony Segreto. Deal Volkswagen, as I said, willing to make a deal. Call Anna. If you're one of those UM alum with $500 million, they're willing to talk about US 1 and Bird Road, both corners, which, somebody obviously wants to mow that down and put some kind of high-rise in there. But you know what? They're still selling cars there. But they might be open, big UM fans, to opening that up as a stadium. DealVolkswagen.com is where you find all the great deals at Deal Volkswagen. And don't forget, too, I hope you're planning on, I don't know what your status is. You're a busy man, Tony Segreto. I mean, talking to Hyde today, Kirby Smart, unbelievable. You believe this show today, Lubie? We had somebody that actually covered a press conference, Radakovich, Dave Hyde, a very skilled journalist, and Tony, who's talking to the two coaches, 2 and 3 in the country on back-to-back days. That's impressive here. I mean, we may not have this kind of stuff and access, but we find people who do. That's what it's all about.
I have to wear my Lululemons today when I talk to Harbaugh.
There you go. Yeah.
I hope, man. Khaki pants. I saw when you got up, you had khaki pants on. That's good.
I got
very strong.
Me and jeans go together really well.
And I was going to say, this, just going to be a good time coming up. The Orange Bowl game here, and it's right here in town. And tickets. Wow, 12 dimes. Would you really pay 12 dimes? I mean, no matter how big of an alumni booster fan you were of a team to go see anything for that matter.
Well,
12 dimes.
I'll tell you what, it's going to be quite an atmosphere. Think about this. It's an 8:30 start on New Year's Eve in Miami. Come on, man. It's going to be off the hook.
You might want to celebrate with us, though. I was going to say, Tony, when we go down to Jimmy Johnson's. Big show. Reminisce about what we have, and I wasn't able to send this to you. Because a good friend of ours sent us a picture of you as the host, a promo picture of the Jimmy Johnson show.
Oh, is that right?
Yes. That's what I was trying to send you. Our friend Jimmy Ross, sent this to me.
Yeah, I got to see that.
And instead, you got his picture.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah,
which looks nothing like you or Jimmy.
No, not at all. And you know what, Larry.
And it's a great picture of you, Tony, as a young Tony Segreto.
Thank you. And I have to send you something. Larry Bluestein, God bless him too, man. He unearths things. He found something that he sent me the other day that I want to send Lubie now. He can send.
Not that old WIOD promo card.
No.
The young Deef there with the full head of hair.
no, not at all, not at all.
All right,
So,
very nice.
anyway, I'll send it to Lubie right now, and he could show you.
If I see him laughing on the screen here on Ion Channel,
Yeah, you
then I
will.
know that was something to do with the distant past. All right, now we're coming back with more in a moment here on Ion Channel. It's the Defo Show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubie, Lubitz, Tony Segreto wraps up this week's very exciting edition, Tony. Very enjoyable here today of Old School with Tony Segreto. Tomorrow, and all of a sudden, there are different circumstances to overcome with the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. But we'll have some form of it, I can assure you. Gurgles is doing something. Polyman technically challenged. A lot of issues there, but we're going to try to straighten them out over the next 24 hours and have the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge for you. Otherwise, we'll be talking exclusively for 2 hours about Hialeah Park, which we could easily do. Remember when Arcaro was riding there, right? I think he was on the back
I
of
love
Whirlwind.
Eddie Arcaro.
Like this.
I went. I went fishing with Billy Hardtack.
Oh yeah,
and
they're big fishermen, horse people. Big fishermen.
Yeah, big time. But you getting to know these jockeys. Bailey lived around the corner from me.
Jerry Bailey.
I love Jerry Bailey. I would see him all the time. And I have to tell you something. For those people who have never been in the presence of a jockey or met a jockey, there isn't a jockey I didn't meet whose shaking of hands, it was like a vice.
Oh, very firm. Yes.
Their hand was like a vice on your hand.
Yeah.
And just remarkable
like a rasp
athlete.
file. Yeah.
Remarkable athletes. I have the greatest
really are.
respect for athletes. Yeah.
I mean, Lafitte Pink Guy could have won the Bantamweight Championship at a World.
Yeah, for sure.
He even looked the part. He looked like this guy, Lupe Pintor from Mexico, was a fierce puncher at the old days, the Olympic Auditorium. All right, more with Tony. Old School with Tony Segreto continues in a moment here on Ion Channel, the Defo Show. Mike Lubie, Lubitz, Jeff Deforrest. Happy you guys are with us. And we'll come back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
He'd be so proud of my grandson, too, Tony, for his mathematical adventures. It's
I heard.
8:51, yeah.
Hey there, it's Mike Mayo. Do you like steaks? Do you like seafood? Do you like classic old Florida charm? You could get that all and more at Tropical Acres Steakhouse and Butcher Shop. It's at 2500 Griffin Road in Dania, just west of 95. The Studiali family, they've been running the place a long time. It's been there more than 70 years. And it is now a place you can get early bird specials along with steaks to take home and throw on the grill yourself at the Butcher Shop. That's open 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day. It's open for dinner every night starting at 4:30, but they are closed on Sundays. Go to Tropical Acres. It's a place to go for a great meal, great people, good value. Tropical Acres.
The championship meet is right around the corner at Gulfstream Park. The only place for live racing, Gulfstream's action has never been hotter. Whether it's on the track, in the casino, or part of the dining and entertainment offered at the Village of Gulfstream Park. Currently running Thursday through Sunday, Gulfstream's racing package is the best in the country, with all the top horses and people in the game pointing towards another tremendous winter season. Check out the remodeled first floor casino, open 7 days and nights a week, along with the many special events and concerts happening at Gulfstream Park. You can place your wagers from anywhere at firstbet.com. Check the calendar of events at GulfstreamPark.com. Destination Sport Miami is here to revolutionize the sports landscape in South Florida. The largest indoor multifaceted sports complex in North America is on the way, with distinguished leaders of its various sports programs and unparalleled access to the finest indoor training fields and facilities. Destination Sport Miami will set South Florida apart as the destination of choice for elite athletic training and development, and for its dedication to youth programs and sports on all levels. A phenomenal concept and a powerful undertaking, Destination Sport Miami will also be an important commodity in the sports business community as well. Destination Sport Miami, its time has come.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. thank goodness for landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Since day one of Old School, we've had Catholic Health Services be part of our family. They are recognized as the quintessential rehab facility in the Southeast for strokes, but it goes well beyond strokes because Catholic Health Services is in the community of South Florida to help the community stay healthy. And if they're not healthy, get them healthy and get them back on their feet quicker than they could have ever expected. They do it every single day. It's step and repeat 24/7. Catholic Health Services.
Buy or lease a Taos and take it to the house at Deal Volkswagen. Anna and her team make your next VW purchase or lease so easy with new inventory rolling in daily and the biggest selection of certified pre-owned vehicles in the business. You can make your deal online at dealvolkswagen.com or visit the beautiful showroom in the classic location, 3601 Bird Road, right in the heart of the Gables. Or give Anna and the team at Deal a call at 305-448-DEEL. Jettas, Passats, Tiguans, Atlas models, and the hottest vehicle in the industry, the new Taos, all at unbeatable prices and all ready to roll off the showroom floor at the #1 Volkswagen dealership around, Deal Volkswagen. Obviously, the people here know you very well, Tony Segreto. You were ingrained in many people's childhoods here, and they followed you and evolved with you over your 40 years on TV here in South Florida, and everybody loves you. And by the way, you still look the damn same, like
you're like frustrated
in the background on a Mickey Mouse Club or something. I mean, and I know you're close to like Cubby or one of those guys, but
Cubby
I mean,
O'Brien.
how is it possible? What are you using? Are you shooting Botox? Are you using that serum from that cantaloupe, Dr. Savant? Because pictures of you look very much the same, Tony Segreto.
Why do you think I'm up here? There's an elixir right here in my in the woods that I have.
You find oil, you're like the Beverly Hillbillies up there. Fantastic.
Exactly. We're on the Dick Clark, Ryan Seacrest diet, whatever that is. Yeah.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
Freaking Ponce de Leon we're on with here, the fountain of youth. Tony Segreto, that invigorating lifestyle he's lived. I mean, you've been in Vermont there. I know back around the country and everything, but it's obviously serving you well. All right, Mike Lubitz, Jeff Deforrest, Ion Channel here, the Defo Show. Google the Defo Show. Tell your friends about it. You can get the audio stream. A lot of people punching it up in their cars now, Tony. And,
yes.
Also the video stream. So things are moving well. I had a neighbor, the place I'm moving out of, actually, where I'm still broadcasting from for the rest of the week here because I'm afraid to move anything until everything is settled in the other joint.
Where are you moving to?
I'm moving to a great spot. I'm not that far away. It actually takes me 7 minutes to get to the new place, but it's across the street from the beach, Lauderdale by the sea, and you can walk to a nice private beach entrance, and it's absolutely fantastic. Across from the Sea Watch restaurant, a little north of Commercial, Lauderdale by the sea. Nice. So good spot. I couldn't be happier about that, although the place was a wreck. When we purchased it, it was just real estate was at such a premium and so hard to find inventory that we figured we better move on this thing right away. Like you're talking about moving on the 7 and a hook.
Yeah.
Before people will wake up to Michigan. All right. You're going to be talking to Jim Harbaugh. Lubie wanted you to ask him if he thought at any time this year he was definitively on the hot seat and that if he thought he was going to get fired if he lost to Ohio State. And
That's my first question.
I wanted you to follow that with
how the hot seat feel. How the hot seat feel, Jim?
How the hot seat feel. And then after that, I want you to ask if he thought his brother John was crazy for going for the 2-point conversion instead of opting for overtime in the Pittsburgh-Baltimore game. Can you do that for us, Tony, when you talk to Jim Harbaugh? What time is that going on?
No question. It's happening this afternoon at 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock. Wow. Okay. And where can people find this? It's part of the Orange Bowl thing, right?
This is an Orange Bowl thing, right?
What's going on with that?
Yeah, it's a private link. Yeah.
Private special?
No, it's a special link. It's just he and I on the link to.
Oh no, I understand that, but I mean, obviously they're going to do something with this thing. They're going to have you talk to Jim Harbaugh, and then just throw it on a shelf somewhere like that Beatles material.
As soon as I get the information, I will send it to you, or let us everybody know, and they can look at that along with the interview with him and Kirby Smart, and then next week I'm interviewing 3 players from each team as well.
Nice.
So, nice. Tony Segreto in the thick of it. It's beautiful. That's 2 versus 3, Tony. I mean, this is no slouch event. I mean, we're not talking about
I'm telling
doing
you,
the stadium announcing for the Bahamas Bowl.
Yeah, I know. According to all the Orange Bowl people I've spoken with and the people within the sports industry that I've spoken with over the last 3 days, this is the talk of the town. It's been really pretty special. And I mean, even more than some of the championship games that we've had.
No, it's a great matchup.
It really is. It's a matchup that you sort of go, wow, okay, now we got. And what's really cool is that this is only the 4th time these two teams have ever played.
I was going to say
the other 3 times were like in the 40s and the 50s.
Yeah.
So there's a trend there. I mean, Mark Lawrence will have the trend. Well, they're 3-0 in this spot, and Mark, that was 100 years ago. 100.
It's the first time in 61 years that Georgia's been in the Orange Bowl.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, Georgia was in the Orange Bowl.
Well, Notre Dame was always penciled in when they didn't have these committees and everything. When they just voted on it. Yeah. They would get the invite like in August. Yeah.
In the Sugar Bowl.
Right. But back then, we had our Orange Bowl had a relationship with the Big 8. Yeah. So that Nebraska or Oklahoma were always in the game. And then it was whoever we played them, whoever played them.
What century was the Big 8 in existence? I know it seems like forever, in the distant past. All right, well, that'll be a lot of fun. How many more ticket requests have you had? I was a smart move. See, you did the right thing. You loaded them right away to the right guy, and now you could tell everybody, listen, I ain't got nothing, and you're not lying.
Exactly. And honest to God, I have had, since Ed asked me for his, I have had requests for a total of 75 tickets.
Oh, wow.
77 tickets.
Be tempted to buy some online, Lubie, and maybe we can make a little money that way while we're trying to, rise to the top here of the video streaming world with Jack Namer and all the people there at Ion Channel. Well, Tony, it was a pleasure. I mean, gear up for this interview. It's interesting. Jim Harbaugh, I saw a piece. I forget if it was HBO Real Sports. I want to say that it's what it was. That Harbaugh family has just a tremendous sort of relationship with football tradition. They really do, and a great respect for it also. So even though people see Jim as kind of a wacko, it was very cool to see how they approach, the game and what it meant to them as players, coaches, and as young men, Tony. This is right up your alley, this thing.
No, I agree. Listen. I think Harbaugh is great for the sport. I think his quirkiness is great for the sport. And I know one thing that he's really going to be excited about, and this is kind of off the game, but part of the game is that Lloyd Carr, who he great friends with. Lloyd is going to be inducted into the Orange Bowl Hall of Fame. So I know it means a lot to him, and it's going to be special. So it's pretty cool. I agree with you. I agree. He's all about tradition, doing it the right way.
It's funny too. I mean, all these jobs that open up, like his name was never in circulation. I don't know that he ever wants to leave Michigan because obviously he went there, and it might be his dream situation. He's making plenty of capital, but by the new standards that are out there, I don't know if he has some kind of escalation clause based on what other coaches are making, but that you never saw his name in conjunction with any of these other openings about leaving Michigan, even though they had sort of, I'm not sure who was putting this out there. It was, speculation, but that, he might have been in some form of at least mild jeopardy of losing the job.
Yeah. And how quickly, almost overnight, has Brian Kelly become a mark?
People think he's a real tool. They don't care for Brian Kelly. That reputation went up in smoke.
Unbelievable. It really did. And you know what? It's his fault. I mean, he brought it on. I mean, for him to go.
You don't like that he left Notre Dame, though, Tony.
Has nothing to do. Have nothing to. No. Listen. Lincoln Riley didn't do it any better, but he didn't show up in California, wearing a Miami
surfer
Vice.
Outfit, and singing Beach Boys
surfer outfit, singing Beach Boys songs like Brian Kelly. All of a sudden,
the phony accent is great.
Oh my goodness gracious me! I can't even
try some of that gumbo.
And how he thought he actually thought he could get away with it.
Yeah, I mean, Alec Baldwin's wife, right? Hilaria, I believe her name is. Hilarious, with these claims that she spoke all of her life with a Spanish accent when she went to the New York School for the Arts. I grew up in Brooklyn. All right, Tony, always a pleasure. You have a good time, man. We look forward to hearing about your conversation with Jim Harbaugh.
You got it.
As we lead into the Orange Bowl there. And did you mention the loss to Alabama to Kirby Smart during that interview yesterday?
It was the first thing we talked about.
First thing? It's kind of like Lubie's question.
Yeah. No, we talk about.
You didn't ask him, hey, so what did you learn from that? Because that's an easy way around that. Mentioning that, hey, you got completely clobbered in that ballgame last night.
I'm
aware
of the tricks.
Yeah. Well, you have to work your way around it. Let's face it. I mean, this is for the Orange Bowl itself. You're not going to go on there and start attacking the coaches.
Listen, I know we have to go, but people would always criticize me, going, "Man, on the Jimmy Johnson show or the whatever show we were."
What are you going to say? It's his show. Yeah.
I go. The name of the show is the Jimmy Johnson Show. It's not the Tony Segreto Show having Jimmy Johnson as a guest. Okay, so you don't sit there and nail the guy. That's just not how it works. It just doesn't work that way.
It wouldn't be appropriate.
No, now if there was an issue, you would always talk to Jimmy. He was great. You would always say, "Hey, Jim,
he's pretty open.
I think we need to address this. I'm going to give you the forum to do that. You address it how you want to, and then we move on." And he would be great. He was a great guy, just a terrific guy to work with.
No, he was always a lot of fun, and he was very animated for the press, and is animated in his regular, speaking and approach to life. Very enthusiastic guy, and that helps a lot. Instead of some coach that's just, it couldn't have been much fun. I don't know who hosted this, but the Joe Philbin show. I think when you found out that was your assignment, it's like getting on ICAM to go cover a hurricane. Yeah. And they just fly that, the low man on the totem pole in the sports department right into the eye of the storm. Anyway, we got to run. Tony, you have a great time with Jim Harbaugh. I know you'll do a great job on that. Great job on the show today. He was, toughened up, I think, by that last fight. I believe he, really came to the table with a different approach to the show today, Lubie. He wasn't going to take any of our shit. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. A lot of fun being with you. We'll do it again tomorrow. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to go yet.
What we're going to be doing.
Much is contingent on the technical expertise of the polymath.
Which you can't find.
It says on the roof. Do we punch yet? He's worse than I am on this kind of stuff. I mean, at least we're able to get on the air here. All right, we'll see you tomorrow at 7 in the a.m. Thanks, everybody. Thanks to the Ion Channel people. Another great job. Lubie, always a pleasure, my friend. We'll see you next time as we leave you know that. Tell that Jorge Nomas to call the people at Deal Volkswagen. It's 9:06.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.